Hey podcasters, we're here. It's the Ladies of RWW. I'm Raya.
Champagne.
Teresa.
And Lynn.
And we will be doing our book to movie adaptation of We Are the Animals.
We the Animals.
Oh, We the Animals?
Yeah. I've been saying it wrong all day.
Getting it wrong each time.
What we drinking today?
We are drinking Apothic brand, which is, of course, my favorite brand. The Apothic Inferno.
Red.
It's a red blend and it's delicious. That's all I gotta say on that one.
I have Apothic over here as well.
The funny thing is the author of this book,
Justin Torres.
yes, in one of his pictures, he has behind him, he's at a winery that says Hatton wine. So I was trying to find that wine to kind of do it, but they only sell it in Bali. So
We'll just pick up a bottle next time we're there.
just grab a bottle for us.
Yeah, I did a little research on him too, because I never heard of this author, of course, and I was trying to determine whether or not this was an autobiography. So he says it's not, but there were significant moments in the book that mirrored what he experienced in his life. So that was interesting to me. Although some of it was embellished, of course, for entertainment purposes. But.
Yeah, they call it a semi-autobiography for some reason.
Okay. Maybe that's why. I didn't even see the title semi-autobiography. I was just like, is this real? Did this happen?
Right.
So, for me, the book was a bit confusing. I was having a difficult time following the dialogue. And I don't know that just reading the book that I would have understood that the weirdness that was referred to in his, that everybody kept referring to about him was related to his sexual orientation. I just thought it was that he was like nerdy. He was really into reading and writing and drawing, and so he
introvert versus.
You didn't get that by the time you read the end of the book?
By the time I read the end of the book.
Oh, okay.
But what I'm saying is that throughout the book, when you're reading that story, and then also in the movie, you know, his dad made a comment like, "Oh, you know, you're the pretty one," and stuff like that. Like, I don't know that all of that to me related to the fact, related to his sexuality.
Right.
In his mind as the author, I feel like those key components were things to outline how he was different. But the different to me wasn't about his sexuality. It was just because intellectually, I think he was different.
Different.
But
Yeah.
I probably, because of my own situations, caught it right off the bat.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. And especially once he got into the movie made it as crystal clear for me. But in the book, about halfway through, I caught on. I was like, okay.
I know this sounds rude to say.
But he didn't say I have a
gaydar. Like, I can't pick up anything. Any hints, any clues. I missed every, like, alley-oop possible. So I missed it until I got to the end. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh, there it goes. But I miss everything. So don't have to take me to a gay bar. I miss everything.
Completely.
ABS.
Yeah, because like
good though. Very good.
he was different from the family in that he was scared of the water. He didn't swim. He wasn't like, you know, roughhousing. But I did not relate any of that to his sexual orientation. He's just, you know, he don't want to swim. We got plenty of people in our family that don't like to swim. So, Champagne, I think you don't care for swimming, right?
Don't be putting my business out there. My business out in these streets.
No, but I mean,
No,
I
it's not.
say that I just didn't relate it to any type of sexual orientation. It was just, I don't know. I didn't get that until the absolute end of the book.
Like, his dad is such like a domineering male spirit. So his sons are like not passive, but like you could see that two of them are kind of taking after the same tracks as their dad by the little comments they were making in the book. But then Manny, the youngest, was like obviously like more quiet and just reserved, and that is what I picked up. I didn't pick up a same-sex attraction. He was different. I just was like, he's the quiet child, which the mom is quiet. Mm-hmm. So kind of made sense. But I missed it.
I didn't, for once, I did not read the what the book is about before I get into it, and I didn't this time. And with the exception of it being in June, with the LGBTQ community that we're focusing on, I had no idea I wouldn't have had any idea where this book was going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so lost.
Yeah, I thought it was like just like an indie film, kind of just like looking at like the lives of these kids that are dealing with like parents that aren't focused on them or something like that. I didn't pick it up at first.
Or abusive parents. They have a toxic relationship going on.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was a cute storyline. Like I said, I had a hard time following it.
I agree.
I mean, I guess as it relates to the adaptation, I can't pull out one thing. I mean, with the exception of the whole trucker love interest at the end, which made sense because that would have been a whole, like, I don't know.
I was also confused on that because somewhere in the story, did he grow up?
Exactly. That's why, see, in my mind, he was still a little kid. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. This trucker situation, we can't incorporate that in the movie.
No. So I was waiting for that in the movie. Actually, like, I'm like, how are they going to make this transition, into this trucking thing?
Right. Yeah, that had me worried a little. Like, whoa, I don't want to see any parts of that.
Exactly.
So, but they did add that grave digging piece.
I was just about to.
I was getting ready to say the same thing because I don't know where. I was like, okay.
Even in the book, right? It's like, where are they going with this? Is he about to murder this lady? Like, I had no idea what his story was.
Exactly. My mind was all over the place too. I'm like, what?
My favorite category on like Netflix is like the thriller movies, a psycho woman killing people. So I was like, oh, okay, this is my kind of movie. And then,
we need help. We need to talk.
I really am concerned, Lynn.
Literally, everyone's always like, where do you find these movies from? And I'm like, oh, they just keep saying this is suggested for, this is recommended by, because I keep watching them. But yeah, so
you were hoping for Mama to go into the hole. Is that what you're saying?
Or somebody's body to
somebody
into the hole. Probably the dad. Yeah.
It was a little weird for me at first, and I try to keep in perspective that this is how he felt, like him rising out of the hole, and I'm just like, what is going on? But I kind of get it because I had to reel myself back in and be like, listen, this is how he felt, rebirth maybe, or coming to terms, So it took me a minute. Let me tell you.
The rebirth, huh?
No, I didn't even see it as rebirth. I saw it more as everything that he was going through, because when you're little, you already know you're different. So anything that happens within your family unit, you think it's something about you. So I felt like every single thing, like even the mom, every time something happened, it's like, a lot of times, why is she only focusing on asking him the questions? Why is she only talking to him? Why is he the one that's, so I pictured it as, he already knows he's different. They may not know specifically how different he is, but he knows it, and he's known it all along, which is why some of those character traits on going under something and hiding and doing things so that people don't see you, like a lot of those characteristics are very, very common. And so for me, what I read, what I got out of the whole grave thing is like, he internalized that as something about him because he knows he's different, when, of course it had nothing to do with him. It's just he has a cuckoo dad that really needed to jump in himself. But, everything that went on had to be about him and his difference. And then eventually it, changed. But
so he was burying his differences is what you were saying?
Huh?
So you were saying he was burying his differences? That's why he got in the grave?
No, I was just thinking he got into the grave just because that's what he felt like he needed to do. Like, this is just him, dad, because he's the first one that said that the dad's digging a grave. And then the brother's like, he's digging it for you. And then, different things are happening where his dad realizes, like, okay, how in the world did I get a pretty one? I got one. How did this happen to me? So I think he was just internalizing everything until he was able to eventually act upon, whatever he felt.
So I took it very similarly, but a little bit different. I took it as in, like, those were the times where he had to kind of disconnect with who he was on the outside versus who he was on the inside. So like how he was floating through the air out in the grave scene, like he was of course in the grave, but like his inner soul was somewhere else because he didn't want to be wearing that same outer shell that he was wearing because he wasn't happy in his situation in his life. He was hiding under things because he wanted to get away and just like be one with the outside shell and the inside shell versus always being two different. And I think that was why, to me, in the end, when he was with Dustin, was because like at first he was doing that same like separation thing where he was underwater and his outside didn't match the inside before it became to him actually acting on how he felt. It all kind of blended in as one at that point, but before it was like separated.
Yep.
Yeah, and sort of his feeling of who he was always associated with death. So it was drowning. This part of me is drowning.
Like this feeling of suffocation.
Right.
Yeah, so
Buried alive, drowning. Yeah.
yeah.
I hated the fact that they tricked us in a way because I know when after the whole episode happened, when they found his pictures and everything, and he went into the room with his brothers and they were sleeping, and he was like, body heat. You know, it was back to, they accepted him, and, you know, you still my brother kind of thing. So all of a sudden realized that he was just imagining and hoping for that. I was so upset.
Yeah.
I know exactly. I felt the same thing. Like, oh, good, it's just gonna be the same.
It's okay.
Yeah.
And then he backed away, and I was like, "No, go back!"
Like, oh,
And Dad bought that truck and was real excited about it.
he was.
Yeah.
And she crushed his
She crushed his
bubble.
dream too. I mean, she made perfect
Crushed
sense.
his bubble, buddy.
She
He was like,
crushed.
how many kids you got?
You don't even got no seatbelt. Like, who?
What about your family?
Oh, I was like, oh, that was too
He
funny.
was so proud of himself. You
He
go.
was. But she reminded me of me, like, why would you buy that stupid truck?
Right.
Like, what?
Did you think at all besides, oh, it runs?
Exactly.
And he
Well,
probably
she
thought,
was like, your
I got a
big
bunch
D
of kids
truck.
going in the back.
Your big D truck. You had to go get this big D truck.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so now you feel like you got a big D, but what we gonna do with it?
Right.
Exactly.
It's
Yeah.
crazy how they changed the fact that in the book he was more so cheating on her, but in the movie it was just they just couldn't get along, arguing about everything, so that's why he left. Whereas in the book it was like
And he was beating her.
right.
So I know this is irrelevant, but the book talked about this scene where the old guy was teaching them about the locusts. And I don't know why it just shows so much innocence about the boys, because they were like, they just wanted him to keep repeating the same stories over and over again. And I don't know why I enjoyed that. What's that?
Adults are like showing me attention and teaching me and being an adult versus, oh yeah, you just here. Cool.
And they were they were kind of bad little kids, right? But they were just so excited about learning about the locusts that I don't know why I wanted to see that in the movie, but I don't know.
And they took that
I know
out.
it's irrelevant, Raya, but
Apparently I'm the queen of irrelevant. So I agree.
Oh,
Quite
so
think
she
it's
took it over
as
today.
relevant.
Good job, Treva.
thank you.
But you know what's driving me crazy? I honestly love this book and I love this movie, but the screaming in the movie was driving me. I was like, if these boys holler one more time,
Oh my God. I can't imagine having that many boys.
I swear to God. But, you know, when you think back, nobody was around them. Nobody cared. They could do whatever they wanted anyway.
I felt like they were worse in the book. You know, I don't think
Yeah, they
did
create much more havoc in the book.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yes.
I killed them boys. Like, oh my goodness.
The whole tomato scene.
Yes, the lotion.
I was like, and you're just like, oh, you're like, birth me. And I'm like,
Claim that.
tomatoes.
Oh,
Stains.
it was cute. Oh, we got a mommy.
Right. That was cute. That was cute. I loved watching the little boy's transformation though, because they went from so innocent, like, oh, daddy just left, maybe he'll come back, to at the end where they're like, F him. Like, oh, okay.
They changed it from like what the mom mentioned, like once you turn 7 in the book, you're not my little boy anymore, so you're going to be 6 + 1.
Yeah.
But in the movie, he was 9, and I guess turning 10 in the movie, and then like it was 9 + 1. And I get it; it kind of makes it a little bit better to see like a 9-year-old kiss another little boy than like a 6-year-old. But like, still, it's still way too young anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
But like, why change the age? It's too young, no matter what.
Right. Right.
And it makes me feel like people don't believe that you can know your sexuality at a younger age of 6, 7.
I think it's harder. It's a harder pill for people to swallow.
Yeah.
And that was my thought of why they would like change it, and I just want to know what you guys thought about like why they would change something like that.
I agree. I think they changed it because it's more relatable. I think they can deal with it a little bit more than a 6, 7-year-old. Yeah. I mean, especially since they had the kissing scene or.
He still looks so young though. It still was It was like the cold kissing. Because he was such a young little boy, like they could have just showed them holding hands walking down the street.
But think about it. Those kids saw everyththing with their parents.
Yeah.
Really?
True.
So the fact that
understand the bathtub stuff.
The whole bathroom.
Everything. They saw everything.
It was worse in the book.
It was. It was much worse.
Worse.
I was waiting for it in the movie, and I was like, okay, thank you.
Right. I said the same thing. Thank you, Jesus, because I did not want to see that.
Yeah, that was.
So that's why I was kind of okay with either age, but maybe that's what made, because I think like 9 and 10 is when you really start to begin to act upon certain things, whatever it is. 6, something's different, but I don't necessarily think at 6 the sexuality of it
comes in. Right.
It's more 9 or 10, when those little badass 10-year-old, 9-year-old boys and girls, like, they're terrible. So I think that is what was more realistic to me.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I mean, but those kids knew what to do at age 3, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of the kids, how much did I love those little actors?
That was so good.
I wrote that down. I said, I love the cast, especially the 3 boys.
Oh my God, it was so good.
They were phenomenal to me.
Yeah,
I loved them.
I was not as okay with the mom. I was just like, I don't know. She just was weird.
Yeah,
but the kids made the movie.
Van is her name. Sheila Van that played the mom.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the kids made the movie. I mean, the dad was great too, but they really nailed it on those kids.
Oh, they were so good.
They were so good. They really were.
And then when I saw the picture of the author, Justin, and he's fine.
Yes.
Oh,
I was like, okay, that was a good pick. That was a real good pick.
because that little boy was so freaking adorable. Like he was, of course, he's the cutest one in the bunch.
Manny.
But I was like,
Isaiah Christian.
Isaiah.
Oh, them eyes.
All right, well, y'all ready to vote on this one?
Yeah.
I am. I don't feel like I have, I mean, it was great.
I think it was a great adaptation too. Full glass for me.
Full glass.
My glass is already full.
Full glass for me.
All right.
You got a full bottle.
We didn't have to pull teeth for that one.
Yeah, no, I think it was a great adaptation. Some modifications, but overall, it just hit the mark to me.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Agreed.
On everything. Yeah.
So good.
All right, well, check us out on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook at Read Watch Wine. And you can email us at readwatchwine@gmail.com. Give us some tips on some books you'd like us to review, and give us your feedback on books that you've read and watched the movie. We would love to hear from you.
And again, this one kicks off our month.
Our June Pride Month. All righty, bye.
Bye.